I'm so excited to announce our mini series. So our mini series, you'll be getting over the next 3 days, some foundational tips and techniques that you can implement right now. And so today we're going to be digging into fertility treatments, what's been missed, especially if you have unexplained infertility, if you've been told your blood work is normal, if you have low AMH or high FSH, POF or POI, and being told that donor eggs are your only option. We're going to be digging into some techniques that can help you, some tests that you may not even have thought of, and how a functional approach can really help you prepare for your baby. So excited for you to listen, and feel free to leave a review on iTunes.
There are certain practitioners that are just still in that conventional mindset where they're treating their results on the paper, and if estrogen's low, they're going to give you estrogen. If you do a thyroid test and, your TSH is off, I found your problem, you need some Synthroid. That's not the approach that we take.
Welcome to Get Pregnant Naturally, where functional medicine and natural fertility solutions will help you get pregnant and have your baby. Hey everyone, I'm Sarah Clark, excited to welcome you to our mini series today. And Brandy Buskow is joining us. So Brandy is part of my team here at Fab Fertile. And today we're going to be digging into the myths around fertility treatment and why a one-size-fits-all approach may not work for you. So if you know my story, you can check out the episode Get Pregnant Naturally with low AMH and POF. So I'm the founder of Fab Fertile and your host today of the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast. So, and Brandy is, as I said before, she's part of my team here at Fab Fertile, and she's an integral part of our couples coaching program. So this program, we use functional lab testing, diet, and lifestyle changes to dramatically improve conception. So if you're struggling with infertility, your body is desperately trying to tell you something, and focusing on your health will either help you get pregnant naturally, or if you do need to go to the fertility clinic, it will improve your chances of success. So Brandy is a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, certified transformational health coach, and EFT practitioner, so emotional freedom technique practitioner. And she loves supporting women so they can learn how functional medicine addresses the underlying cause of disease or illness. And before we jump in today's show, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this to make sure you never miss an episode. Hey, Brandy, excited to have you back on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back.
Awesome. So today we're going to be digging into with our mini series here. Our first one we're talking about is testing. And so what you're going to learn today is we're going to talk about what to do if you've been told everything is normal, but it's still not working, i.e. you're not pregnant. What to do if you've been told that you have low AMH, high FSH, POF, POI, and donor eggs are your only option. Why functional testing can help you get to the bottom of why it's not working. What so many people get wrong with functional testing. This is one we see a lot. And what to do when you get back your results. So we're going to start off with what to do when everything is normal. And this is typically with unexplained infertility. And with the functional approach, there's always a reason behind it. Testing is key for trying to dig into what exactly is going on. And we would start with blood chemistry testing, and then blood chemistry review. And it's not to diagnose, it's to educate. And then also looking into, actually, before I go forward, did you want to say anything about the blood chemistry review?
Sure. So it's actually something that can be really helpful because it kind of gives us a bit of a roadmap and insight into what's going on with somebody. So like you said, we don't use it for diagnosis purposes. We do not diagnose or treat anything, but we know that any sort of diagnosis like unexplained infertility is a symptom of a deeper problem. And so that's why we use testing kind of as health detectives to let's look and see what's going on underneath the surface and see if we can find some clues that are going to point us in the direction of where we need to go to start helping the body help itself.
For the blood chemistry review, we're using functional reference ranges. These are for healthy people. And then your conventional doctor is going to be using reference ranges that are for people with disease. So it really, in the functional range, it's going to flag it before it actually gets to disease. So it gives us some healing opportunities for us to dig into further and to really ask why.
Yeah, absolutely. So the ranges that your doctor uses, like you said, are pathological. And that's a really wide range. And it's based on people who don't have a diagnosed disease, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the people in that range are in ideal health. So they may have an undiagnosed disease and have a lot of symptoms, but are still considered normal. Whereas the functional range is a tighter range where we see people in optimal health and aren't having a lot of symptoms. So we look at it from a different point of view.
Yeah. And other clues for unexplained infertility, we see a lot with people that have been on long-term hormonal birth control, long-term use of antibiotics, and chronic stress. So I had all three of those. I was on 10 years of birth control, antibiotics for all sorts of different infections, bladder, yeast, and sinus, and chronic stress, just dealing with life stressors, and then also the diagnosis of infertility. So we regularly see all of that, maybe not all three of them, but more commonly than not, all three of them. And that can be a reason as to why it's not working. And those are things that we will dig into further with our health history review to see what's been what's been missed.
Yeah, we take a whole body approach. We don't just look at the numbers on the paper. We look at everything. That could even include things like toxic burden. It's some of the things that we don't always think about, and that, your obstetrician or endocrinologist or a reproductive endocrinologist might not be thinking of. They might ask you the question of, well, how much food are you eating that are sprayed with pesticides and are GMOs? And how many chemicals do you put on your skin every single day? I mean, those are all contributors. So we take a whole person approach and we look at a lot of different factors. So there's always things that we can do and look at. And that's why we go beyond just what the test tells you, because that's just a snapshot in time on what you're doing on that particular day at that particular time. We like to dig a lot deeper than that.
Yeah. And we see a lot of nutrient deficiencies. We're seeing this through our hair tissue mineral analysis test. This will give us some clues, especially if you've been on long-term hormonal birth control. That can impact your ability to absorb nutrients. So you could be eating this beautiful, organic, nutrient-dense diet, but maybe you're not absorbing them. So we see that quite regularly. And then also with unexplained infertility, we're seeing infections being passed between partners. And so that's, we see that quite regularly. And then also with unexplained infertility, undiagnosed autoimmunity. So celiac or Hashimoto's are some of the ones that we regularly see with unexplained infertility. Not always, so don't panic that you have an autoimmune disease, but we are seeing that with some people.
Yeah, this is something that we really commonly see. And again, we don't diagnose or treat, so we aren't going to do testing and diagnose you with something like Hashimoto's or celiac, but we definitely can see clues and trends that there's some dysfunction going on. We call it Metabolic Cast, which basically means all of the systems in your body are in chaos and not communicating properly. And it's oftentimes something that's missed. Thyroid is a big one. Thyroid is missed in a lot of women. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have actual Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism, but we do see often enough that thyroid is just not functioning optimally. And there's a lot of things that can contribute to that. So we definitely dig deeper and we help to allow the body to process thyroid hormones correctly and convert them correctly so that your thyroid can start functioning properly and send the right signals to the rest of the body. So definitely a big biggie.
It's not enough just to look at the TSH, and even especially when it's been told it's normal. So functional ranges are a lot lower than conventional ranges, and we don't just look at the TSH, we're looking at the full panel, including antibodies.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And so that's for unexplained. And then we'll talk about some of the testing we recommend in a little bit. The next one we have is low AMH, high FSH, premature ovarian failure, or premature ovarian insufficiency. So we see a lot of this because obviously my story with having both my kids with donor eggs. So to me, donor eggs are your last option, not your first. And so it's similar to the unexplained infertility. We're digging into the blood chemistry analysis, what's been missed there, and then looking at, do you have a history of hormonal birth control, antibiotics, chronic stress, and then the nutrient deficiencies, similar to that as well. And with this, we're also seeing, again, infections being passed between partners. With POF and POI and low AMH, high FSH, we are seeing a higher degree of undiagnosed autoimmunity, which we would then be able to flag in the blood chemistry. Again, as Brandy is saying, we are not diagnosing, we are flagging that, and then you're taking that to your physician. And then also unbalanced hormones. So we regularly see people women being diagnosed with POF or POI or low AMH, secondary infertility. And so when we're looking at some of the testing, we're seeing that that may not be the case. Do you want anything to add to that, Brandy?
Yeah. So, I mean, the initial detective work that we do is pretty similar regardless of the diagnosis, but specifically, like you're saying, secondary infertility. One of the things that's often missed and not discussed enough is each woman is different. And so they're going to bounce back and respond very differently. So if they've already had a baby, some women's hormones will bounce back really quickly and get back to normal post-pregnancy, whereas other women's that doesn't happen. And so a lot of times what can happen is we get impatient and we think, well, it should happen right away or within a certain time frame. And when it doesn't, we start getting freaked out in thinking, oh my gosh, I'm infertile now. And the reality is that every person is different, and we have to look at each person's individual situation to see if maybe there are some contributing factors that are affecting your body's ability to get your hormones back into balance after a pregnancy. That is the exact same scenario if somebody's been on birth control and you're coming off birth control. Every person's body is going to be different. And so some people might get their cycle back and it's balanced and working really well right away. And other women, it takes months to years, depending on what's going on in their body and some of the contributing factors that you said, Sarah, like gut infections and stress. And there's just so many different things that can go on.
Absolutely. And so we've helped women with low AMH being told that donor eggs are their only option and helping them get pregnant naturally. And the same with POF or POI, basically being told that donor eggs are the only option, helping them and them get pregnant naturally as well. So definitely with a functional approach to dig in deeper. So now we're going to talk about some of the testing. So the functional testing, these are they're cutting edge tests that we use that provide a roadmap to develop a targeted action plan. So our mantra is test, don't guess. And really, we look at food sensitivity testing, we look at hormone testing, we look at stool testing, and we look at hair testing. And so the food sensitivity testing, that depending on where you are, we're going to review your health history, determine which test is right for you. But really, it's taking a snapshot. It's a snapshot in time to see exactly what it is you're intolerant to right now. And as we heal your gut and work on other issues in with your health, then potentially you can reintroduce most of these foods. Some of them, if you are very sensitive to them, we may not recommend you bringing them back, but that's not the case for most of the foods. Anything you want to add there on the food sensitivity testing?
No, I would encourage people who haven't maybe listened to some of the more in-depth podcasts we've done. We did an in-depth podcast about food sensitivity testing and the different types of testing that's out there. So, if you're interested in that and what the differences are between the different tests, definitely listen to that podcast. But again, it's a test. It's a snapshot in time. It gives us clues. It's not the be all end all. Mm-hmm. We often have people who will do a test and come back sensitive to lettuce. And lettuce is healthy for you. That doesn't mean that you'll never be able to eat lettuce again. It just gives us some information. And we kind of help you to navigate those test results and help you to kind of take them out of your rotation of foods that you eat on a regular basis for a period of time while we do some more detective work.
Yeah. And the next one is the hormone test. So looking at your sex hormones, your cortisol, your melatonin, really seeing which pathways the hormones are going down, especially really important for unexplained or low AMH and high FSH. POF, POI, and really seeing, well, what's happening with your hormones. This is using urine. And a lot of the times we're seeing that women's estrogen is fine. It could be just their testosterone or their progesterone is low. And so we seek to figure out why. It's not the case for everyone, but it's not a one size fits all approach. It's very individual, and the hormone testing can really give us clues to then help develop a specific plan just for you. Anything you wanted to add there, Brandy?
Yeah. So when it comes to hormone testing, one of the things that I think is important for people to understand is that when we look at a hormone test, we don't look at it and it says low testosterone, and then we jump to, okay, let's give you something that's going to boost your hormones. Mm-hmm. That's not the approach that we take. And I think some people, sometimes may be surprised that we don't do that. We don't automatically just say, okay, yeah, there's your issue. You have low estrogen. Let's give you something to boost your estrogen. that's kind of a Band-Aid approach. And so that's not the approach that we take. If we look at it in a holistic way and we see where the imbalances are, and then we always ask the question, why? Why are these hormones low? Why are these hormones out of balance? What is contributing to that imbalance? And let's work on the imbalance. And a lot of times by working on the imbalance, the hormones will naturally get themselves back into balance. That's not to say that there's the odd time where somebody would benefit from maybe supplementing with something that can boost specific hormones, but that's not the thing we jump to right away.
Absolutely. And the next one we have is a stool testing. And so this is where I think people dealing with infertility is the last place you would think to go, thinking to see that you have a parasite, a bacterial infection, a fungal infection. I'd say the majority of people that we work with, there's something going on in the gut. And then we develop a targeted protocol based on the testing to then help you heal your gut. This is a huge topic and we've done lots of podcasts on this, but is there anything you want to just highlight there for people, Brandy?
Yeah, exactly. So like you said, we've done a couple of podcasts on stool testing, the importance of doing it. So definitely listen to those to get more in-depth information. But it's one area that's crucially important. If we're going to do a thorough investigation and try to figure out what some of the underlying causes or issues that are going on that are contributing to your infertility, that's definitely one piece that we really need to look at is the health of your gut, because that's really foundational. For you to make hormones, you need to have a healthy gut that's able to digest and absorb the nutrients or the building blocks that you need to make hormones. So it's a very, very important part, not just for women, but also for men as well. So this is a really important task for both partners to
Absolutely.
do.
And that's where we see the infections being passed back and forth. And the last one we have is the hair test. This is where we can see those nutrient deficiencies or mineral imbalances in the hair test, and really gives us some clues to then make targeted supplement and often very simple dietary changes to help with that. Anything you wanted to say there on the hair?
Yeah, so the hair is a really nice test because it's inexpensive, it's easy to collect, and it helps us to complete the picture that we are getting from the clients we work with on their health history, and then looking at the data that we get from their blood chemistry, their hormone tests, their stool tests, their food sensitivity tests, and it just helps us to tweak things that much more. And each person is going to be individual. And we oftentimes see, especially with women who have either gut infections or been on birth control for long periods of time, having some pretty significant mineral imbalances, and minerals are crucially important. So if we can work on balancing minerals along with everything else, everything works together to start to make improvements in your health and allows your body to start getting back into homeostasis or balance so that your fertility can start to come back.
Actually, again, yeah, that's really when you're eating that healthy diet and your body's not able to absorb it. So you're malabsorption, and we're seeing that in the hair tissue mineral analysis test. So now we have no affiliation with any of these labs. Basically, whatever tests are available, we're using the latest tests that we feel are the best at the moment, and the labs are vetted. Brandy, anything you wanted to say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I obviously am a practitioner and I'm able to have accounts with these labs, but I have relationships with these labs because I know that for the cost of the test, it's valuable information. They have a good reputation. They it's very important for them that all of the information that they provide in their testing is accurate. And so they do a lot of quality control on their testing. And so we'll often get questions about a lot of different other tests that are out on the market. And there are hundreds and hundreds of functional tests. But we only use a select few. And that's just because of their reliability, their reputation, and the value in the information that we get from those tests. And that's why we only use specific ones, and we don't use others.
And then, so this is what we see was some functional testing gone wrong. So you could have done some of these tests, but we're seeing you're either having outdated tests, so it's not giving the information that is needed to actually have us to develop a customized protocol for you. So not enough information. And then also practitioners that don't specialize infertility are then reviewing these tests. And then many aren't even trained to review the tests and giving you the wrong information. So can you talk a little bit about that for us, Brandy?
Yeah. So one of the things that's really common, we've kind of talked about this all along, but whenever we do testing, there are certain practitioners that are just still in that conventional mindset where they're treating the paper. The example that I like to give is the hormone testing. They're treating their results on the paper, and if estrogen's low, they're going to give you estrogen. Or if you do a thyroid test and, oh, your TSH is off, I found your problem, you need some Synthroid. That's not the approach that we take. And that's something that happens a lot, is that people will go and get functional testing, and then the practitioner or the clinician that they're working with just treats the numbers on the paper, and they don't look at you as a whole. And so, yes, the information that we see on the test results is important, and it does help us to give us information on what's going on with you. But we do basically lifestyle coaching. We coach you in all of the different aspects of your lifestyle that contribute to your health. And so all of those components are really, really important. You can't just take a supplement to fix this number on a paper. Supplements will be a part of a protocol, but it's not the only part. You also have to be, like we always talk about, you also have to be sleeping and eating the right foods and, moving and not stressing out. So we take the whole person lifestyle approach, not just look at a paper, here's a supplement to fix the number on the paper.
Absolutely. And then after the testing is back, that's when we develop the targeted action plan. It's all based on the testing, but really that's just the beginning. A lot of people get caught up with just doing these tests, but really that's where the rubber hits the road. And that's where it's important to take action, really targeted action, because a lot of times, the diet and lifestyle changes may be simple, but not easy. So having someone then to help you hold you accountable so that you can actually make these targeted changes. Because this is the quote, if you could do it by yourself, you already would have done it. So the support is really key. And that's where we see a lot of people going wrong here, where they're investing in the testing because there is an investment for these tests, but then they're not getting the actual coaching and the support to help them. Because sometimes you could get filled with self-doubt. Am I doing the right thing? Is this right? And then you give up. Meanwhile, if you're hacking away in the coal mine there, the gold's on the other side and you've just given up. So you start to second guess and wonder, but really you are on the right path. So really the support and the coaching is key. Anything you'd like to say there?
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes back to, even if you were working with another practitioner, you may have been working with like a really well-known functional medicine doctor or a doctor that's trained in functional medicine. And it's no fault of their own, but they are just in such high demand. They don't have the time to provide you with the ongoing coaching support. And that's really invaluable because the healing process is not linear. You don't start and then everything just continues to go up. There's a lot of ups and downs. And that's where having a coach or a health coach along the way with you can be really helpful, so that when you do feel like you're taking 2 steps back, we're here to walk you through that process and help you to continue to move forward.
Absolutely. So as we're recording this right now, it is almost 2020. I cannot believe it. It's crazy. But so really, if you've said in 2019 that you're committed to having your baby, but really saying that and then actually committing are 2 different things. So as you heard today, our approach is not a one size fits all approach. It's customized to you. It includes your partner as well. It's a couples coaching program. So if that approach feels right for you, the functional approach, and you're ready to take a targeted, customized approach to your fertility, feel free to go to FabFertile, FABfertile.com and click on book a free call. This call is for you and your partner. Space is very limited. And if this approach feels right for you, we have 2 spots open per month. So feel free to book your call, and that's FabFertile.com. And stay tuned for tomorrow's episode where we're going to be digging into diet. And thanks again, Brandy, for coming on.
Thank you. See everybody tomorrow.
Thanks so much for listening to our Functional Fertility Mini Series, and excited for tomorrow's episode where you'll learn how to eat right to maximize your fertility without starving or drinking green juice all day long, plus what we see that everyone gets wrong with diet. Excited for you to listen to this episode. All you do is hit subscribe on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this to make sure you never miss an episode. The Get Pregnant Naturally podcast, including show notes and links, provides information with respect to healthy living, nutrition, lab testing, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Get Pregnant Naturally podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified physician for medical advice and always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.